Welcome to tutorial 14. Today we learn about minor scales, which was discussed in the previous video, and we learn about the concept of relative minor scales. For your first minor scale on the piano, we are going to start with the A minor scale. So naturally it starts with the A note and ends on the another A note, and here are the notes in between. So you start with A, then you have the B, you have the C, you have the D, E, F, G. And for resolution, you can play the next A again. If you noticed, it was the exact same notes as the C minor scale, with the only difference being that it starts on the A instead of the C. That would explain more about the concept of a relative minor scale. A relative minor scale is a minor scale relative to a major scale which has the exact same notes as it. So in this case, the A minor scale is the relative minor to the C major scale because they have the same notes, but they start on different root notes. One more time, C major scale goes like this. This is something you've already done in the previous lessons. And this is how the A minor scale goes. Every relative minor scale will be found at the same position with respect to the root note of its relative major scale. So for C, the relative minor scale was found 3 half steps down from the root note. The root note for the C major scale is the C note. 3 half steps down would be A. This formula applies to every minor scale that is a relative to a major scale. The other major scale that you're aware of is the G major scale. Same formula applies over here. So if you go 3 half steps down, you arrive at E minor, and E minor scale is the relative minor scale for G major scale. The exact same notes, it only starts on E and ends on the next E. Because the notes are the same, the key signature on sheet music for both the scales will be the same. It's only when you start playing the notes on or you're playing the piece, that's when you realize that the piece is actually a minor scale piece and not a major scale piece. But due to this relationship of the two scales, it's also a good musical technique that composers use to add effect to their music. So a given song could be in major and minor both at the same time. And then, because the notes are the same, the chord list that you have for a major scale is applicable for the minor scale as well. For example, in the G major scale, you have the G major chord, you have the D major chord, you have the C major chord, and the E minor chord. I just played them in inversions, but they are the same notes that you have in your sheet. All of these chords are also applicable to the E minor scale, and a song in E minor scale could also have those chords put into a progression. Now that you know the minor scales for every major scale that you're aware of, going forward, every major scale that you learn is also a new minor scale that you're learning. By just going 3 half steps down, you'll be at the root of the relative minor scale, and that means every new scale you learn is actually 2 new scales that you're learning. In the previous video, I had a formula mentioned on screen for finding major scales and minor scales using a formula built up using the whole steps and the half step notations. Technically, you have access to every major scale out there if you just apply that formula to a given root note. We will still be going through every scale in this tutorial, more or less, and we'll be doing example songs for every one of those scales. But when we do the next major scale, it will be paired with the next minor scale as well. So that includes the key signature and the chords of 2 scales at the same time. The next tutorial video will go into a song that applies the concepts of the previous tutorial as well as this one by starting a song in a minor scale and applying the rules of accidentals and steps. So see you in the next lesson.